Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. My layout today is created for the Cyber Crop over at Mystical Scrapbooks. The challenge is to use stamping and then use ink to colour the stamped image. I'll put a link in the description box below to the challenge. Because I want to use inks on my background, I'm going to do some stamping and then colour with some inks. I want to give it a coat of transparent gesso before I start so that the paper becomes more water tolerant. Once I've finished putting that coat of gesso on, I'll set it aside to dry. The photo I'm going to use today is of the River Torrens where I walk each day, and for my background I'm going to use this large butterfly stamp that's made in Australia, and it's by Thinking Stamps. I'm going to use my StazOn Jet Black ink to stamp this butterfly in a few places on my background. Because I'm using textured card and because I've got that transparent gesso on there, that the feel of the paper is quite grainy, so I'm not going to get a nice solid thick black outline, but I'm going to get the best I can. I'm going to allow some of my butterflies to be half off the page. I'm going to have 5 butterflies in total. To colour my butterflies, I'm going to use my distress inks. I'm just going to squish the pad onto my craft mat, and then I'm going to use a water brush to dip into that paint and then apply the ink to the butterfly in the areas that I want it to be. I'm not being all that careful with my colours. I do want them to blend into each other, sort of like a watercolour effect, and having that gesso on the background does make that a bit easier. I'm going to use an assortment of colours, and I'm going to use mustard seed, twisted citron, peeled paint, broken china, chipped sapphire, and black soot. I'll use the black soot on the bodies. So I'm going to just fast forward through this process, and some of it will be done off camera. I chose the blues and greens to blend in with my photo of the river and the grassy lands around it, and also to blend in with the pattern papers that I'm going to use on here, which is the Uniquely Creative Gums and Roses paper. I'm going to add a piece of Dusty Addict's chipboard from the String Frames small package, and I'm going to colour that with my acrylic paint. The colour is Southwest Teal. I'm colouring this because I want to emboss it, and I'm going to use the ultra thick embossing powder to do that with. The embossing powder is clear, so I need to have the colour on the chipboard before I apply the embossing powder. It is quite fiddly trying to get into all the little creases and crevices of that piece of chipboard. Now I'm pushing my piece of chipboard into my embossing ink pad so that I can get the ink all over it, and then I'm using a spoon to sprinkle the ultra thick embossing enamel over the whole piece. Now that my butterflies are dry, I'm going to add some splashes to the background. I'm going to use the mustard seed and the broken china to do that. I squish some onto my mat, spray it with my water it down, and then sprinkle it on with my fan brush. It doesn't show up very well here, but there is quite a good splattering of colour on that background. I decided to darken the bodies of my butterfly. I think that was a mistake really, and I used my Uniquely Creative black glimmer pen to do that. I wish that I hadn't done it now. Now that I'm happy with my background, it's time to start work on the layout. So the papers I'm using here are this sort of plaid one, diamond shaped one, is Gumnut Garden, and that's 1 3/4 inches by 8.5 inches. And the one under the photo is Bushland Beauty, and that's 9.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Bushland Beauty also has a lot of flowers around the edges of it and a little koala, and I fussy cut those out as well. I have inked around the edge of my papers using a black Versacolour ink cube, and I'm going to now attach these to my page using my art glitter glue. Because I've got the gesso on the back, I'm going to use glue because it will stick better. I want the photo to stand up from the background, so I'm going to use some craft foam to put behind the photo. I'm going to cut a piece of the foam to size, and then I'm going to use my art glitter glue to attach the foam to the photo. I'll bring in my chipboard and my fussy cut elements and start playing around with how I want to embellish my layout. I have this Couture Creations Eucalyptus branch die, and I've cut some of the paper that I painted. When I painted my chipboard, I also painted some white cardstock so that I had some matching colour, and I cut out some black and some of the turquoisey colour. I also scanned this into my scan and cut and played around with it. I took the nuts off of it, gum nuts, and I increased the size so that I had a variation of sizes, and then I cut them on my scan and cut. So just like with any layout, there's a lot of playing around. Do I want this here? Do I want that there? Once I'm happy with the positioning of my embellishments, I go ahead and use my art glitter glue to attach them to the page. I have used the koala cutout that was on the piece of paper, the pattern paper, the Bushland Beauty, because on a couple of occasions I have actually seen a koala bear on my walk, so I thought that was very appropriate. So now everything's stuck down with glue except for that koala bear. It has half foam and half glue because it's sitting sort of over the photo, so it needs to have a bit of foam tape behind it in places to make it sit straight. To create my title, I'm going to use this packet of Remarks stickers, and it's called Highline. It's by American Crafts, and I'm just going to place the letters onto my ruler to get them nice and straight before, and then I can audition them and see where I want to actually put them on the layout, and then hopefully get them stuck down in a straight line. I use my Uniball Micron pen to just write down here when the photo was taken. My final step for this layout is to take my food ball pen and my ruler and draw a line around the whole layout about 1/2 inch in from each edge. I hope you've enjoyed watching my video today. Don't forget to pop over to Mystical Scrapbooks and check out the challenge. And if you're not already a subscriber to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe and click that bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when I post each video. Thank you.